Welcome, everybody, to another Friday edition of Kiwanis Connects, coming to you live from the WWDBTV studios in the heart of Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm Aaron Phillips, holding down the fort, and our host. We lost Val again?
Yes.
Man, Val's bouncing in and out. We've been having some trouble with her connection to stay. She'll bounce back in there, but in the meantime, I am not alone. I'm never alone. I always have JPEG here in the studio, but more importantly, we have somebody of some rather big importance around here. He is not only the president of the Cal Neva Child's Kids Fund Foundation. He handles all the money. He's an international trustee, longtime distinguished Kiwanian from every aspect as a governor, lieutenant governor. He's been around a long time in the Kiwanis family. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Gary Jander. How are you, sir?
I'm really good. It's a pleasure to be here. I don't know that I'm such a big shot, but I try.
Well, I read it the way it was written. So, no, I'm only kidding.
Okay. Well, you got a script. That's what you got to go with.
We are having some technical difficulties with Governor Val, so we're going to bear with us here. She'll be popping on, and want to welcome everybody who's watching us right now on the Facebook page for Kiwanis Connects. We thank you. If you happen to like Facebook as better, fine, you can stay there. But if you like YouTube, you can also go to the Kiwanis Connects YouTube channel, WWDBTV channel. If you're on the go, like here, it's 9 o'clock Pacific. People are still kind of getting to work. Back east, it's lunchtime. You can also download the WWDBTV app to your Android phone or WWDBTV LV to your iPhone phones, and you can get it there. And if you miss everything, look, you can go back to Facebook and YouTube, rewatch the show. But in about 72 hours from now, if you have Roku, you can download the WWDBTV Studios channel to your Roku stream, and you can watch not only all the...
I don't want to interrupt you guys, but just to let you know that my technology has crashed.
Oh, no. Can you hear us? Val? So you know what? Give her the phone number if we can. We may just have to put her on the phone. All right, so we're going to have Val call in if we can. Well, she said all of her tech crashed. What number are you giving her, sir? 992-3207. 702-992-3207 is our phone number. Val is having trouble connecting video-wise. We may have to put her on the phone to have her call. Okay, so you hear us, which is great, Val. So are you, Val, just with the nod of the head, are you back on your laptop or iPad?
I don't think she can hear us.
Let's see.
Lost power in the house. I can't hear you, so I will try something else. Be back in 10 minutes.
Or call. Just right in there, call in. Call in, Val. Call us. Call us. Anyway, while we get that straightened out, we'll figure it out. We'll get her here. Please shut down. Okay, take her off the screen there, boss. That's what we do there. Just take Grayer out there. We'll put her in the internet green room. There we go. All right. So, where were we? Oh, 702-992-3207. You got to love live radio, don't you, folks? Live shows when anything can happen around here. But more importantly, let's get started with our... Yeah, I know. That's true. Internet and everything works great until it doesn't. We were just talking about this before the show, right, Gary? If something doesn't work, what's the first couple of steps you have?
See if it has power, see if it's turned on, see if the volume's turned up. All
Right.
those things.
But
They sound really simple, but 99% of the time they're the problem.
But you can't take into account if you lose power, though. If you lose power, that electricity idea doesn't really work very well.
Yeah, no, that doesn't work.
So I'm just setting up the headset here in case we have to get her on the phone. I'm all good to hear her here or anybody that calls in. So yeah, but lost the power to the house. That's not a good thing. Anyway, so Gary, let's get started, man. You've been a member of Kiwanis for 22 years. You've kind of seen it all and done it all in all the different levels. But how did you first get started in Kiwanis? What was the aha moment when you said KI is for me those 22 years ago?
Well, I mean, like most people that come into the organization, it wasn't an instant thing. I had other reasons for coming in. I was trying to build a law practice and get out and be known in the community. Kiwanis is a pretty big and strong organization here in Southern California, so it seemed like a good fit. It wasn't until several years later when I actually became a Kiwanian.
Okay.
And that was, of course, in the service project.
What was that project, just out of curiosity?
It was a Christmas in July at our local, I don't know what to call it. It's a juvenile way center, sort of juveniles are taken out of homes or taken, the state takes custody of them for a variety of reasons. Sometimes, not always bad, but they put them into this place here in San Diego called the Polinsky Center, where they're sort of held for about 2 weeks, and then they're transitioned into some other program, foster care, or to a relative, or to someone else. So we were doing a project there, related to providing them with some gifts and some interconnection, and had some jumpies and a big celebration. We called it Christmas in July.
There you go. See, it's amazing. I myself, I got started. I was a founding member of my Key Club back in the day, but most people that we've spoken to over the course of this show and the show we were doing last year, when we talk to people when they get started, it boils down to that first project that they get invited to, not necessarily a meeting, but come to a project and try it out or whatever. Most people seem to really get it when they get their hands dirty for the very first time about what Kiwanis does.
Right. Well, my club meetings were certainly of interest. It was more like a fraternity than it was there were no issues. But this was like a couple of years later. We did a number of service projects. Very active club, the Lake Murray Kiwanis Club, very active in the community. So I got a lot of community contact, which is what I want. So
right.
that happened. But in this particular case, we were at this event, and they put me in charge of making sure not too many kids got in the jumpy at the same time, because they figured that was my skill level, I guess. And so I could do that. And there was one little girl got in, and she was, like any little girl, she was a little nervous, and she was not sure. And so I kept the other kids out, and I worked with her, and I helped her get up the little stair, and she fell down, and she laughed, and she came back around, and she wanted to do it again, and we put her back in, and she went in again, and then she went running off to something else. And it's no big deal. That's not
right.
a big deal. Except then one of the staff came over and said, "That was absolutely amazing." And I'm like, what do you mean? And it's just a little girl playing. I have kids. That's just a little girl playing on a jumpy.
Right.
She said, "No, you don't understand. That kid is here because she was brutally raped by her stepfather.
Jeez.
And she's been here for 2 weeks, and she has not let anyone, especially men, anywhere near her.
Wow.
In the time she's been here. And for you to connect with her in that way was amazing to them." And I said, well, I'm thinking to myself, well, I guess I'm just lucky. But at that point, and the reason that's my story when I became a Kiwani, because it was at that point that I realized that we could make a difference individually in an individual child's life, as well as the big picture stuff. But what we do, reaching out and touching people. I'm sorry, I get a little emotional. I'll get past
No, that's okay. Gary, that's what it's all about, man. This is what it's all about. So please, by all means.
But it was the direct impact that I experienced. The fact that I had really at least maybe shown this little girl that not all men were monsters, that there were loving, caring, and generous people in the world. And Kiwanis gave me that venue. And Kiwanis gave me a lot more venues, and I began to realize that the ability to touch personally in my community in a way that makes a real difference in the community, one child at a time. I know that's a catchphrase, but still, it is an organization that's focused on that, making a child's life better, even if it's just one.
Well, that's one of Kiwanis's mottos, right? We're changing the world one child at a time.
Right. It's improving the world one child at a time.
Right.
Exactly. And it's like, it's a bigger concept as you get higher into the analysis. It's by making that child's life better, how many people do you affect?
Right.
In her future, or in other futures, or the people you connect to and their parents, and all the different things as you improve their lives and you teach them leadership, you improve the nation, because it has better leaders, servant leaders. So it is an organization that has such a huge impact. And we can talk about that. We probably will talk about it as we talk about the Children's Fund, the
right.
CNH Children's Fund, and
yep.
the international stuff. But what I think that's what makes me a Kiwanian. That's what keeps me a Kiwanian. That's what helps me deal with the frustrations of sometimes, personality conflicts and different things that come up in every aspect of life, not just Kiwanis.
Right.
But it teaches, it helps me know that I'm making a difference.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's the key thing. I had a conversation last night with a friend of mine who um, is in the process of joining the new club we have going on down here, the Downtown Las Vegas Club, and he said to me last night. He says, he says like I just can't make the meetings. They're Monday nights at 5 o'clock, and I said to him, I said, well, let's stop right there for a moment. I said because Kiwanis is more than just meetings. You're getting the emails about the projects that the club is doing. In the meantime, it's in a way almost as much or as more important getting your hands dirty and helping at a service project as much as the meetings, like you said. It's great fellowship time, it's networking, it's getting to know your fellow Kiwanian. But at the same token, the big return is when you're getting your hands dirty, you're working with others, the same camaraderie to benefit others. And when I said that to him, that sort of struck a chord with him. He says, you know what? I see and understand what you're saying. So I'm hoping that kind of eased his mind about the importance of the projects and what we do to help others, in as much as it is to go to a meeting for an hour, whatever the setup is. You can still have fellowship at a meeting as much as you can at a project. And I think that's important that we don't lose sight of that. And I think sometimes we forget that the meeting for people maybe is more important than the service. And my opinion, should be the other way, especially when we're not technically a networking group. We network as a result of doing what we do, but we have to keep our focus on what the benefit and why we are Kiwanian in the first place.
Well, it's absolutely true. I don't want to underscore too much the networking aspect of it, but
Right.
It is a great way to network in your community and be seen.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you that over the 22 years I've been in, I have, I have gotten a significant amount of business through my connections and
Sure.
but that, and that's initially why I came in. I said, I need to make these connections. I need to be
Right.
seen. That's all part of the advertising concept, which I know you understand better than anybody. But it's the idea that you're being seen. But once you're here, if you're participating, if you're actually engaged, you're gonna have experiences like I talked about. Some of the best fellowship and contacts I ever got was at a service project.
Sure.
People seeing you out in the community serving water at a 4th of July festival for free, or they see you running some event for children or cooking at a Little League baseball park or all these little things that people do. They see you there and they know
Right.
you're a good person.
Right.
Because you're trying to give back to the community. And so it's all of these aspects. But again, when it comes down to the core, why 22 years? Why be an international trustee and all the time and money that's involved in doing that?
Right.
Why would you do that? It's because I want to make our organization better and to refocus and recenter it on what we do, our core, which is service, and in particular service to children. We do other service. We don't talk about it much, but in particular that service to children and to strengthen the organization. That's why I do it.
We had a guest here in the studio on the show a couple of weeks ago. Maybe you have heard of her or seen her in other meetings. Princess Charlotte Penelope Oaks, little 6-year-old. So you know who I'm talking about.
She's unbelievable.
We had her in here as a guest a few weeks ago, and I'm honored that she was here in studio. And similar to the experience of what you were just talking about, that first project where you connect with that young lady, that show we had with her was beyond terrific. And after the show went off the air, her parents were talking, because she and I were playing around in the back. We were taking pictures together, posing. She took the crown and she held it on my head as I said goodbye at the end of the show, the whole thing. And the parents told me, just like you had, they have not seen her since her encounter with her bullying stuff that went on, interact with adults, because no other adults supported her when that happened. And so she was very introverted. And they said to me that they haven't seen her come out of her shell with another adult like she did with me that day. And my producer, John, he'll confirm this. We were all very emotional in the studio when she spoke, because for a 6-year-old young girl who should really be worrying about what time cartoons come on, she spoke so brilliantly as a wonderful young person to share her experiences and everything else. And so getting that message from her parents was so heartwarming. And I totally understand where in that case, a child helped an adult feel better about what we do, where normally it's the adult helping the child. We have Val back on. Val, let's see. I'm just here to no, Val. Jeez. Message in there for her to call.
Well,
Please.
she's accomplished that. She can't hear us, but
Yeah, that's right. Call in the phone, Val. Join the conversation. Anyway, all right. While John is typing that to her to do that, we are as soon as he's done typing the message, we're going to step aside for our first commercial because we have a CNH commercial. We also have the Kiwanis commercial, ladies and gentlemen. All you lieutenant governors out there, I emailed you on behalf of Governor Val to share this for all your clubs so that your clubs can have a customized commercial promoting who you are, especially on the heels of our branding show a couple of weeks ago. So we have a couple of messages. When we come back on the other side, hopefully Val will be with us in one form or another where she can actually talk and engage with us. So you're watching Kiwanis Connect.
Mom, can I borrow your phone?
We heard her there.
we've always been able to hear her. She just can't hear us.
I know. All right, good. Run the spot. All right, we're going to go. There we go.
Aloha. I am so glad to be able to invite you to Kiwanis Connects on WWDBTV because we have some fascinating shows going on. And so join us on Fridays at 9 a.m. And if you can't join us then, look at all the different links of where you can find us to see the different amazing shows that I do with Aaron and all the crew at WWDBTV.com.
Thank you, Governor Val, for that great message. Good morning, everybody. I'm Aaron Phillips, co-host of Kiwanis Connects with Governor Val, and this message is for all of you great lieutenant governors here in the Cal Neva District. As a reminder, we created a Kiwanis commercial that is dedicated to the clubs here in the Cal Neva District. You've seen it talked about, you've seen it on the show, and on the heels of a recent episode where we talked about branding, a commercial we think is a pretty good tool for you all to have. Now, I want to remind everybody, and there are two options that you can take advantage of. Number one, you could take the existing commercial and simply brand it with your club's information at the end of the message. That's $75 to make that edit. Real simple, and contributions do go to Governor Val Direct to maintain the popular Kiwanis Connect show. Now, if you'd like something a little more detailed and customized with your club specific and pictures and everything that's going on, well, we can do that too. There's three options there. For a 30-second commercial, it's $200. 60-second commercial is $250. And if you'd like 90 seconds to deliver the message, that's only $300. All the work is done here at Worldwide Digital Broadcasting Studios with your support. And reach out to me and I can give you all that information. Email me at KiwanisConnectsInfo@gmail.com. That's KiwanisConnectsInfo@gmail.com. Continued success for the rest of this administrative year and the future for your clubs. And I look forward to seeing you all at the district convention in August. Thank you, Lieutenant Governors. We appreciate your time and effort. All right, we are back. We're still trying to get Val connected. She popped in and out a few times during the break on all these different phones. Now we're just trying to convince her to call in. Anyway.
I think she's just phasing in and out different dimensions.
Oh, like on Flash, all the different planet Earths. We have Gary Jander on the line with us. During the break, a question came in the chat room, Gary, from Leanne Westfall. This is actually something that during many of our shows we've talked about membership retention, things like that. But as an international trustee, I think you might have an additional perspective. Leanne asks, what do you do to get that unengaged member back to the meetings?
Well, I've talked about this before and at a lot of different levels, and it really comes down to talking to them, having a meaningful conversation where it's okay for them to tell you the truth as to why they're not coming to meetings, and it's not a condemning or a sales pitch or anything else, because people become engaged when they become passionate, when they see value in it for them, when it's worth their time.
Right.
Maybe they don't come to your meeting because they don't find the meeting interesting. They don't find the content interesting, and encourage them to tell you that and tell you what they would like to see. What
All right,
do you think would make it better?
Gary, I think we maybe finally have Val on the line. Val, is that you there, Val?
Aloha.
Finally, at least we can hear her and she can hear us. Governor Val joins us the old-fashioned way on the telephone.
It is on a landline.
You're even on a landline. Holy cow. Make sure you put quarters into the slot so you stay with us till 10 o'clock, okay?
Okay.
Jeez. Well, I'm glad we finally worked it out. Isn't technology wonderful?
Oh, it is the bane of my existence right now, and I am so glad that you're all professionals and that Gary is one of the best guests that we can have because he rolls with the punches.
And not only that, I found out before he went on the air, the man is also experienced on the radio.
Woo-woo.
So that also helps. So Governor Val, we were just at the first segment. I don't know how much of it you were able to hear, but we were just kind of setting the table, talking about experiences, why Gary got into Kiwanis. He shared a story. And Leanne Westfall asked a question about what do you do to get that unengaged member back into the meetings? And Gary was in the process of answering that question about talking to them and finding out what the value is. Why did they disengage? That's kind of where Gary was in his response, just to kind of quickly catch up.
Awesome. Fantastic. So I'm going to just listen because I need to know how to do that too. So thanks, Gary.
No problem. I keep making the mistake of looking at myself and seeing the tree growing out of my head. So
Oh, yes. That's
to have the world coming out of my head here. But anyway, it really is something that Kiwanis don't like to hear because for some reason they don't want to have the conversation. They think it's going to be conflict. Don't make it a conflict conversation. Make it over a cup of coffee or just a phone chat and just say, we're trying to, figure out what will work. And you know what? You don't have to call every individual member of the club. There's these surveys that we have online at International to help you send out these things to your club. And we say you should do it once a year. I tell people you should do it once a quarter. You should have a conversation about what's going on in the club, what people like, what kind of projects they want to see, what kind of things they'd like to do, and remind them that it's their club. That you may be the president, you may be the old veteran that's been there 100 years, but what is it you'd like to see? You came into the organization. Are we missing a project? Are we missing something? Do you feel disrespected? Do you feel like it's a fraternity? Like I said, when the Lake Mary Kiwanis, when I joined, it's like a fraternity, and so I could see how some people would be turned off by that.
right.
Evolved. But anyway, what I'm saying is you just really have to have a dialogue and find out what it takes to engage them. And then I just finish with this because there are some members who are not going to engage no matter what you do. But if they write the check every year and they write you donations and they do that, so they're a core part of your club. So don't forget about them. Don't cast them away. Don't kick them out. Just continue to love them and encourage them to come back because that's the season of their life.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you said that because we all have reasons for doing things. And sometimes it can get down to something basic, like day of a meeting changes, or when I used to sell timeshare, people would always say no and give you 9 million reasons to why they don't want to do it. But ultimately it comes down to either they see no value and they don't want to pay for it, or they don't like it. They just don't want to say it. So there are generally very basic reasons people decide to do things or not do things. Val, do you have a follow-up to Gary's comments?
I think that there is also the possibility that they are in a different stage in their life, and so creating a special kind of membership that is purely a hiatus membership, where they know that they'll get contacted on a regular basis, and when they're ready to come back, they just let us know that they're ready to come back and do service. So you do something that makes them feel special while they take care of things that are happening in their life.
Okay.
Is another way to approach it too.
I like the idea though of doing that survey on a more regular basis, quarterly, rather than the old annual, exit interview, so to speak. I like that idea as well. Leanne, I hope that answers your question. If anybody else has any other questions, please feel free to put them in the chat room. By the way, if you are listening on YouTube, as a couple of our folks do, you can still put your comments there on the YouTube channels. John is able to see those and flash them up on the screen for us as well. Do not be shy. Unfortunately, with Val on the phone now, that's the only way we're able to take your questions, which is totally fine. You still have an avenue to do that with. So Val, I'm going to turn it to you if you want to ask Gary a question that you've been dying to ask him.
Well, I'm really amazed with all the work that he does with our CNH Foundation, and I'm not sure how much he's shared so far. But Gary, where are you headed? Where do you see our CNH Children's Fund at the end of this year and into next year?
Thanks for that question. I mean, I am really excited about where the CNH Children's Fund is going. I think we've turned a lot of corners over the years. We've narrowed our focus to be laser focused on particular missions, and we've focused on fundraising to make it easier for people to fundraise. And I think the message is finally getting out, at least I hope, because I keep hammering it out there, that this is your foundation. That this is not a foundation. This is not a charity that helps children. This is yours. We are your arm of charity in the community. And we do so many things on your behalf, and even for you and even for your club, because we're your foundation. We want to connect, to interact. And I think we're progressing. I mean, I'm pleased. I did have an encounter recently where some a Kiwanian in good faith said, "Well, I don't want you to just give my money to some charity like the CF Fund or whatever. I want you to focus on this other aspect." And I took advantage of the opportunity to give that same speech. This is your foundation. This is not some charity. This is not just the Children's Fund. This is your foundation, and we do so many things. The pediatric trauma grants, the mental health grants, which are part of pediatric trauma, the raising money for our SOP, your KICK campaign, for example, the club grants. We're finally getting applications and giving away money, which is, I love giving away money.
I love this KICK program because, and I appreciate the foundation supporting it so much. And I know that Aaron has Andy's logo up behind him, and I can't point in which direction because you guys won't see me pointing.
Go ahead and try. I dare you.
but it's like you said, it's our foundation, and for KICK, it's Kiwanians investing in Circle K. The best way you can do that is through our Children's Fund, so that you know that your money is going directly to the programs that matter most, which are the Kiwanis mission-sponsored programs. It's awesome.
And we're very transparent, and you can see where the money comes from and where it goes, on our reports. And if you don't see an answer to a question, you certainly ask us. That we're not a holding company. You don't give money to the Children's Fund and we just hold on to it. We turn it around and put it back in the community in scholarships. And the KICK program is so on point because the pandemic really, more than any other organization of our family, Kiwanis family, was so heavily impacted by the pandemic. Circle K is having a lot of difficulty rebuilding itself because of the structure of the way colleges work and the way college students think. They have not been as resilient, and so by getting this money in and targeting it the way that Andy's set up is to help them do the outreach, help them rebuild their organization, and it's working. I mean, at least in CNH, it's working, and I think nationally or internationally, we're going to see it begin to improve as well. But this is a timely project, like the mental health project we did last year. I don't know if you guys realize how hard mentally this was on young people. I mean, you and I, we're resilient. We flow, we go with the flow and all that kind of stuff, like we talk about. But these young people have so little experience of having to deal with adversity and having to go with the flow, as it says, and how to adjust, that all of a sudden they can't see their friends. They have to stay home. It's like being in prison. It's like being grounded. They didn't do anything wrong. They have all these issues and they're not connecting with one another, and it causes a lot of mental health. But fast forward 20 years from now, when these kids who were just born or 15 years, are suddenly in high school, but they never learned to interact with each other when they were babies. They had masks on their face. They didn't even see people's faces. And so this is hardwired into their system, and we need to start planning and working now to deal with that mental health issues. But you know, this program is helpful. This mental health program will help us begin to see and fund programs that will be designed for that. So it's the Children's Fund doing timely service, meaningful service that makes an impact right now and going into the future that I'm most excited about.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, one of the things that I wanted to share a thank you for is a long time ago, my home club applied for a matching grant to get a skateboard park together and skateboard helmets. And in our area, our youth didn't have anything. And I need to tell you that this is the third year that those skateboard kids have won the national championships.
Mm.
And that's because we provided the helmets and the pads and the other safety equipment within the skateboard park. And so the skateboard park is co-named with Kiwanis because of what the Children's Fund helped do 10 years ago.
Well, and that continues to build the legacy of Kiwanis in the eyes of the public, and that's a great way to go. We need more legacy opportunities. I just want to remind everybody that you are watching Kiwanis Connects, coming to you live from the WWDBTV studios in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am Aaron Phillips. Governor Val, she is the voice of God. We hear her but don't see her. And our special guest with us is Carrie Jander. She's the president of CNH Child Funds Foundation, as well as an international trustee. Put your questions into the chat room, please, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. We can catch them and bring them in and ask your question. I want to shout out to our good friend Jennifer McCord out in Hawaii, who's diligently watching. She must not have class, or school must be out for her finally by now. No kids to deal with in Kin, although it is only 6:30 in the morning there. So she may be having her, what's that?
Surf's up.
Surf's up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so thank everybody for watching. Let's go back to the foundation. We've kind of touched on what it's currently doing. What is the upcoming plans for the next 12 months for the foundation? What some of the goals are for the next year moving forward, the next administrative year, whatever it is. Let's give folks an idea, because we have listeners all over the country, all over the world, and perhaps some of the ideas that you could share with us will benefit other clubs as they listen.
Well, certainly. I mean, we're in the middle of planning for next year. We're starting that process, budgeting, planning. Interestingly, we have a summer board meeting tomorrow in Rancho Cucamonga, where we're going to be going through some of those processes. But I think we're going to continue doing what we're doing, trying to raise funds to get them back into the communities so that the communities can get what they need. To refocus ourselves on the community-centered nature of organizations, because the Kiwanis Club of Los Angeles versus the Kiwanis Club of San Francisco versus the Kiwanis Club of San Diego, they all are connected in their communities, know what their communities need. And maybe what you need in Los Angeles is not what you need in San Diego or San Francisco or San Mateo or Sacramento, or Las Vegas. You got new clubs. Trying to connect with new clubs, I think, is something we're going to talk about for next year. To get in early with them and show them the benefits, and continue to let our members know it's their foundation and this is how they can contribute. And I do want to say one other thing while I'm saying that. It is your foundation. And you know what? Every year we have positions on the board open. And the requirements to be on the board are that you have to have a passion for kids. You have to understand what our precepts are. You don't have to have been a lieutenant governor. You don't have to have been a club president. You don't have to have checked off all those other blocks. If you have a background and experience and a desire to help us meet our mission, you should apply. We're going to be electing our next board tomorrow. And so then that happens every June. The applications are open all the time. If you want to find out about us and you want to just sort of feel, we need ambassadors in every division in Calneva. In clubs. So if you want to become an ambassador, we have a training program. We send you materials, and all you have to do as an ambassador is talk to people about what we're doing and ask and get input back from them about what we should be doing. And that gives you an opportunity to participate. And here's the best part. There are no membership dues to work for the foundation. You don't have to pay. You don't have to pay a due. You can just come in and participate and volunteer because you already paid your dues when you joined Kiwanis. So this is just another advantage.
Gary, what's the best website that people can go to direct for the Children's Fund and get all that information?
You had to ask me that, so
Of
give me a
course.
minute while I punch it in.
That's why I get paid the big bucks, so we can also put it on the crawl underneath on the screen.
I have to punch it in and see exactly what it is.
And so while Gary's looking for that, one of the things that I can share is, as an ambassador, you really get an opportunity to go and talk to clubs about what their signature service projects are and figure out how to help amplify what they're doing to a different level. And so what I've seen are major partnerships with different cities and towns where they may have put in a very generic playground, but with partnering with our Children's Fund and getting some matching grants and getting new ideas and partners, they've been able to put in state-of-the-art systems. And one of the things that's happening out there because of COVID, I think, I'm going to go off a limb here and say, I think that there are a higher number of kids that have sensory deprivation issues, and it looks like autism. And being able to put in touch playgrounds and sound playgrounds, not just the physical ones, makes all the difference. And like Leanne has one where it's actually painted onto the asphalt. There are different games and things that kids can do interactively without ever leaving the ground.
Wow. Well, that's a good one. I like that idea. Gary, do you have the website?
I do. It's really complex. CNHfoundation.org.
Phew. I thought it was something hard.
I just wanted to make sure that I didn't leave out a letter. I often leave out letters.
No, that's good. It's like when I ask people, I had a guest on my show last week about their website, and like like I want to get it right. How often do we call ourselves when somebody says, "What's your phone number?" I don't know. I don't call myself. What's your website? I don't know. I don't search myself. So I get it to make sure. And so we're gonna type that in so it shows up on the crawl on the bottom of the screen while we're live. And those of you who are listening on the app, don't worry about it. As I said earlier, you can go back to the YouTube page for Kiwanis Connects or WWDBTV or Facebook. You can rewatch it or eventually on Roku in a couple of days, and that'll be on there for you to catch and get all that great information, as well as I'm sure they won't mind if you want to make a donation to help the cause. You don't have to wait for a fundraiser or a particular email that says, "Hey, we would like you to donate." You will have an opportunity to donate right on the website, correct?
Correct. There is a donate button on there.
Wow. So that's good that I got that right. Val, wasn't this the organization that I had fun with online hosting a fundraiser for a couple of years ago?
Absolutely. It was one of our most successful fundraisers, and that was our Red, White, and Bruise.
I still have that steel cup.
So do I, and I still use it.
Right. I put my chocolate milk in it in the morning, and it stays cold until I'm ready to drink it. That's what I love about it. Of course, when you go to wash it with hot water, it's the other effect. We burn the daylights out of your hands, but hey, that's okay. We'll deal with that. But anyway, so that was a lot of fun, even doing that during the pandemic, to do that online and still have such major success to support the fund. And, I think it's just great. It's just another way for people if getting your hands dirty is not applicable because you got your schedule, you got this, you got that, but you still want to support it. The nice thing is this is another way that people can support the mission of Kiwanis and especially our district by getting behind this program to help support the kids that are within our Calneva district.
Right, I want to say
one thing I would suggest is I want to do a challenge out there. On your Kiwanis anniversary, do a Facebook fundraiser.
Ooh.
And so all 100% of the funds go directly to the Children's Fund, and put out there that it's your Kiwanis anniversary and you want to raise $250 for the CNH Children's Fund.
I like that.
Even if someone only gives $50, that's $50 more that we can spend and share with the YES program and the training programs and those things.
So how many clubs in our district approximately, Madam Governor?
432 right now.
Oh, you had to be exact, didn't you?
I do.
So
I do.
I'm going to do the long math because I can do this while you guys can chat while I figure out how to multiply all this stuff out to get to a point.
So Jerry, have
what I
you
was going
done
to
some of
say,
those Facebook fundraisers?
I'm sorry, am I stepping over somebody?
No, no,
I
no.
was like,
I'm sorry. Val asked if you've done any Facebook fundraisers like she just suggested.
Oh, I have, but I was going to say that, you don't, for your listeners that maybe are not in Kiwanis, you don't have to be in Kiwanis to donate.
Correct.
If you go to that website, it doesn't ask you if you're in Kiwanis. You just hit the red button. It's a big red button. It's huge. You can't miss it. It's right. It pops right up. You can just click on that and donate to our Yes campaign, our Yes initiative, which stands for Youth Education Support. All that money comes in and it's used for every program that we have. So that's the best venue to donate to us.
So let me ask both of you this question then. If 432 clubs donated only $50, what would an extra $21,600 do to the budget and help?
Oh, it would be phenomenal. We could turn that back around into club grants.
Is there can the fund be broken down per child serviced on an annual basis to, like they do with schools? Each child costs $3,000 a year to get through school. Do you guys ever break down the numbers on what you spent per child during an administrative year? I'm just curious.
No, we've never done that. I suppose we could, but not all of our projects deal with children. So
Right.
We'd have to do some analytics. But we have staff. I mean, that's probably a good idea. We could probably help. But I was on an international foundation call this morning at 6:30. Way too early to be on a call. But anyway, I was there, and they were talking about they've done some analytics work where it's for $2.52. You can make a meaningful difference in a child's life. Now, I don't know the data behind that number, but that's sort of what they were saying. Is if each Kiwanian gives $2.50 to the International Foundation, it'll make a huge impact on the children of the world. So I would imagine our numbers would be similar to that. If you can make a big difference for $2
Sure.
or something.
Absolutely.
Because if you take out the economies of the United States,
Right.
out of our organization, we're in countries that are pretty poor,
Right.
and internationally speaking, but there are counties within our district that are also not wealthy counties, and so for those of you who live in Los Angeles or San Diego, San Francisco, Sacramento, I mean we're wealthy communities, whether you believe it or not. We are wealthy communities. But and so everything's expensive here. But there are other counties in our district where they are not, and we can do a lot more. Have a bigger impact.
I always like to say that those in need is not divided by any specific zip code. Everybody's in need everywhere. So don't allow a zip code to shade your eyes into thinking they don't need help up there. Val, I'll get one more question from you before we go to break, if you have something ready, ma'am.
Well, I wanted to add in on the metrics part.
Yeah.
We did a survey up in the Monterey County, and for every dollar that is invested into food-related and what is it, basic needs, for every dollar that's donated, it actually multiplies out by 4.
Wow.
So your $1 equals $4 worth of buying power.
Jeez.
And so when clubs are helping sponsor food pantries or are working with the state Road Fresh programs and those kind of things, their dollar is huge. And so that's what our grants do. They do matching where we're then amplifying 4 times out. And so, Gary, how difficult is it for us to apply for a grant if we're one of the clubs out there?
It's a one-page application, and it's got some attachments to do it, and it's relatively easy. We want to give the money away. Leanne Harrison Westfall here points out that Kathy Tran does a great presentation that are available. There is presentations. We can send one of those ambassadors we talked about out to see you to give that presentation. But it's an easy process, and this is one of our frustrations over the years. I know you got to go to commercial, but it's one of our frustrations is people are not applying for the grants. Clubs aren't applying for them, and that's one of the things we want to turn the corner on, and I think we are, because I'm sure the impact is the same across the whole district. If you're talking about food supply, and you're talking about helping kids and leadership training, I mean, what's the value of teaching a child how to be a servant leader? I mean, what's the impact over that child's lifetime and all the people that they're going to come into influence with?
Priceless.
I mean, it's just the impact is incredible.
I want to, but as we go to break, as you talked about leadership and mentioning to people they can become part of the board and all of that, you have a quote in your bio that I really like, and we'll go to break on this comment. Gary believes that Kiwanis needs people who have proven leadership skills to volunteer for leadership positions. I don't think that couldn't be any better said, because we all seem to find that that's an issue at times. Anyway, you're watching Kiwanis Connects. Final break of the show before we wrap up, coming around the clubhouse turn on the other side. Thank you for watching. We'll be right back. All right, we are back on the air, Kiwanis. I love that spot, that little 2 minutes there. If that doesn't encapsulate the fun for the kids side of it, Gary, I don't know what does. That was a great video.
That's the first time I've seen that video. That's good.
Yeah, Val, if you, I just got your message. If you want to give it a shot, but don't disconnect from the phone until we know you're live on video.
Cool.
All right, so stay on the phone until we get you connected. But anyway, yeah, that we got a link from the office, or I should say Val did, and they gave us a link to YouTube with all these different options of videos. And that one happened to have been up there from about, what, John, a year ago we saw it?
I think so.
About a year up there. So that's a great little video. So it's a 2-minute video. Normally our commercials don't run that long, but we just loved that spot. We thought it was a great way to present the foundation. So while Val is trying to connect, she's trying to video in now again because she thinks her equipment's back up. Thank you, Herman. Got you. 29 Palms. Listen, for those of you listening and watching, just curious where you're all watching from. Just put it in the chat room, kind of like taking roll call, so to speak. I'm just curious to know where everybody's from. Let's talk about international trustee. Now, for those who don't know, how long is that position? You know, like most of the positions are a year. Talk about the role, what an international trustee is about.
Well, international trustee is a 3-year term. You represent Kiwanis at the international level, dealing with budgets, governance, that kind of stuff, setting policy for the organization. A lot of boring stuff at that level, but
so is it one member per district?
No, it's there are currently 9 members from North America, which is Canada and the United States.
Okay.
And then there's one from Latin America, a couple from Europe, a couple from Asia, Pacific that make up the board. The board is 15 members plus executives. So you have a vice president, a president-elect, a president, that kind of stuff. So it's a typical Kiwanis board. The executive director, Stan Soderstrom.
What is it? What does it take for someone to become a trustee like yourself?
Well, to become a trustee, you have to be a governor. You have to have served as a governor of a district, and then you have to get endorsed. You have to run for endorsement from your district, who has to say, yes, we want you to be in that leadership position. So don't make everybody in the district mad at you if you want to be a trustee. then you have to stand election across the international organization at the annual convention, which we've got one coming up in a couple of weeks in Minneapolis.
Right.
And we'll elect 3 new trustees from North America and 2 trustees, one from Europe and one from the ASPAC, and then we have a delegate at large. So that's 5 new trustees come in every year.
So the length of terms obviously overlap so that people maintain staying on. We never have a board that's totally clean every year, so to speak. So that's the thought process. Right. Yes. Right.
Right. 5 people go off every year from the trustee standpoint, and 5 people come on. So you're got a constant, so I'm a freshman. I'm a newbie. This is my first year. So
aren't you glad you did it?
I am, because one of the things that we do as trustees, we are counselors to districts.
Gotcha.
So we go out and we visit the districts and we see what they're doing, and we counsel them and provide them with resources and advice. And so I've gotten the opportunity to go to some fantastic places and meet some great people. And this year they assigned me to Key Club International. I'm the board liaison for Key Club International, and I get to go to Italy because I'm their counselor. So,
such a tough gig on that one, huh?
Yeah, and then also Eastern Canada and the Caribbean. So I'll be visiting the Caribbean. Somebody has to do it. Okay? Somebody has to go to the Caribbean, and I volunteer. Okay,
right on. Right on.
So that's what I get to do. That's the fun part of being a trustee.
Speaking of travel, Val, I know you're on the phone, but John is ready to rev up the engine. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
It is time now for Val on the road. Val chuckling at once she heard the horns. All right, Val, take it away.
I absolutely love that. I'm actually in Gary's division right now. I'm in San Diego, and this is an opportunity of a lifetime. We're actually having Sips and Social as a fundraiser for the district. There's a division tonight, and there's 3 divisions that are getting together. And tomorrow we're going to be putting together 1,000 lunch bags for homeless folks here in San Diego. And so there are people from Key Club, Circle K, and 3 different Kiwanis divisions coming together to put together 1,000 sack lunches. And then my governor visits here. And then next week, I am traveling to 5 different locations, including San Leandro for their 100th anniversary. Woo-hoo! And I will be in Modesto as they prepare for American Graffiti, which is the largest car show on the West Coast.
Wow.
So it is a Kiwanis-sponsored event, and it has just boomed. And so they're expecting over to be at this car show on the very first day.
Wonderful.
So I'm just beyond excited. And then I will end up in Carson City, Redding, and Humboldt. It's going to be a long, fun week.
There you go. Right on. Are you going to be able to drive any of those cars at the American Graffiti thing?
Oh, I wish they were doing a parade, because I would love it. Last week I was at the pet parade, and I was in a 1957 Jaguar as one of the car entries, and it was so beautiful. It was just gorgeous.
I'm sure it was. All right. We have only a couple of minutes left. So a quick question came in, Gary, and then we're going to wrap up after this. Maritza, who's our lieutenant governor here in Southern Nevada, asks, what does the at-large trustee cover? Now, when I was 354 pounds, I was an at-large everything. So I was just wondering, as she was, what does that position entail?
It's just all of the districts that aren't, you know, that aren't in a particular region like Europe or Asia or North America, they get to elect a single trustee. So in Latin America, South America, Africa, the Indian subcontinent, all these places we're developing, they need representation on the board as well. So that's where the at-large comes from.
Gotcha. So they're kind of like a wild card.
Yeah, I guess, we want everybody in the organization's voice to be heard, and so
Right.
I think that's what the point is as they develop, because that's our future in Kiwanis, by the way, is worldwide in those areas, and so we are putting resources there, and if we don't hear what resources are needed, you don't just throw resources, you need to hear what resources are needed
Right.
to be impactful, so.
Val, Herman puts a comment in the chat room that might be an idea for an upcoming program. I tagged you in it, but I'll put it out there. He asks, how about a program on the dues increase for delegates to the convention as well as the general membership? So apparently there's some interest in discussing dues and increases, as always happens every year. So perhaps we put that on the agenda somewhere down the line if it's something we can put together.
Well, that's a perfect segue into next week's show. We will have our international trustee candidates on board, and one of the questions will be, what is their stance on the dues increases and the overall bylaws modernization? And so definitely tune in for next week when we have our 3 candidates on board, and then we will have our candidate for international vice president the week after.
So on both of those next coming shows, do I need to wear a referee jersey, yellow flag, and a whistle just in case things get out of hand?
You know, they're amazing candidates, and so they've been so nice. So only have to break out the flag when we're off camera.
Oh, doggone it. You take all my fun away. All right, Gary, thank you so much for coming in today. Busy man. We appreciate you spending some time with us. As you can with the guy whose schedule started. What did you say your first meeting was, 6:30 this morning?
6:30 this morning, which is way too early.
Yeah, it is way too early to even get up in the morning. Real quickly, I want to remind everybody, tomorrow is Saturday. Thoughts Count Anywhere Pro Wrestling Talk Show. We are now at 10 o'clock, 1 hour show from 10 to 11 for 3 Saturdays in the month. However, we go to 2 hours for a show if it's around a special pay-per-view show. So starting tomorrow, we are at 10 to 11 a.m. with our new time slot. Then at 12 o'clock, yours truly will host Aaron's Hour with Darren Phillips. My guest tomorrow will be an individual who has a billion sales, over 1 billion sales. See you, Jennifer. She developed something in the health world of losing. I don't want to give everything away, but her name is Greer Childers. She'll be on with us tomorrow at noontime. Other than that, make sure you catch any of the shows that you'd like. Governor Val, final thoughts as we get ready to say goodbye and for me to give you your joke of the day.
So I just want to say mahalo to all of you. We have 120 days left in the 22-23 year.
Wow.
Use every single moment, every single day to make a difference in people's lives, and keep on doing what you do. Thank you.
There you have it. All right. Great words. Gary, I'll give you 30 seconds for a final thought as we say goodbye.
Oh, thanks for having me. GaryJander@gmail.com. It's GaryJander@gmail.com. Just email me. I can answer your questions. GaryJander@gmail.com.
See, you can tell he's a radio. Wait a minute. You can tell he's a radio guy because you always give addresses and phone numbers 3 times. So those of us in the know caught that. John was behind the board laughing and shaking his head with the number 3 on his fingers. No, I love it. All right. As always, be kind to everybody. We're all we have. So, Val, I'm going to send you on your joke. This joke is geared, since you're in Cali and Gary's in Cali and Cal Neva's where our district office is. This is a Cal Neva slanted joke of the day. You ready?
Ready.
All right. What did the earthquake say after it was over?
I am so bad at this.
No.
I felt the earth move.
No, it wasn't a song, John. So after the earthquake was over, he said to everybody, sorry, my fault. See you next time on Kiwanis Connects. Take care, everybody.